Join me on a tour of the personal desert oasis of one of the biggest movie stars ever. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again here at Traces of Hollywood. That's right, I'm talking about Archibald Leach, or as most of us know him better, Cary Grant. And I'll be taking you on a tour of the PalmSprings locations associated with Cary Grant. And interestingly, throughout his time living in the town, his name still appeared in the phone book under Archibald Leach. The first stop on our tour today is 457 West Hermosa Place in Palm Springs, and as always, I'll provide the addresses in the channel description. But if you look over here, you'll see the familiar Dinah Shore / Leo DiCaprio house, and that's been featured in some other videos. But here is 457, and it's an incredible, expansive and expensive compound, which was named Villa Paradiso by Grant, and it's a place where he often stayed when he ventured out to Palm Springs to escape the hustle and bustle of Hollywood. Some of you may already know this, but the reason Palm Springs became so popular with the golden era of Hollywood stars is two reasons. One is most of them were under contract where they had to be on call and within a 2-hour driving distance from Los Angeles or Hollywood, so they could get back to the studios for reshoots or anything they had to take care of that day. The second reason is because a lot of the tabloids and gossip columnists at the time had a budget restriction, and they would only be compensated for a set mileage outside of Hollywood. And conveniently, Palm Springs was just a few miles outside of that. So getting back to Villa Paradiso here, it was built in 1928 by a Chicago heiress. Not much else is available about her, but it was later owned by Grant's friend, the Las Vegas Dunes hotel owner, Charlie Cupie Rich, who added the guest house and pool for Grant's visits. It's certainly one of the larger estates in the old Las Palmas neighborhood, encompassing 4 elegantly landscaped acres studded with 4 individual residences, which allowed for plenty of privacy for the homeowners and their guests. And just neighboring is the Elizabeth Taylor estate right next door, which we'll see as we continue past the wall here a bit. So again, the Dinah Shore Leo DiCaprio residence on the left, and again here to the right, this wall continuing to the corner is the Elizabeth Taylor estate here in the neighborhood. Cary Grant loved visiting Palm Springs so much that he eventually bought his own home here, and it was a modest place that he playfully referred to as the Dump. But so far, I can't find any specific address connected with the property, and information online is sparse. But what we do know is that during that time, he also bought this place. It's at 621 North Palm Canyon Drive, and today it houses the popular restaurant Copley's. So Grant purchased this property sometime during the 40s, and it served as an off-site guest house for when his friends and family were in town. It was here that he hosted many of his own celebrity friends like Howard Hughes, Sophia Loren, Katharine Hepburn, Frank Sinatra, Grace Kelly, Clark Gable, and just brought more of a who's who of Hollywood to the growing desert town, and many of whom would end up buying their own homes here. And being in such close proximity to Hollywood and convenient, just a couple hours drive, as we'd mentioned, it quickly became sort of the Los Angeles version of what the Hamptons is to New York City. A place where you could easily pop out for weekends, for a quick getaway. This next home is sometimes cited as the honeymoon house for Grant after his marriage to Barbara Hutton, but they didn't actually honeymoon here, but rather rented this home on and off for the 3 years duration of their marriage. This home is at 796 North via Miraleste, and we're starting around the corner on the back side here, the back entrance. And I like to do this to show you how large some of these properties are as we drive around. This one is also in the movie colony neighborhood and was built in 1934. It was last on the market in 2020 for $4.5 million. Grant and Hutton met rather romantically on an ocean voyage from New York to England in 1939, and they were married on July 8th, 1942. And Grant was 38 years old at the time, and Hutton was 30. Here's a little peek at the main entrance. And anyway, by the time Hutton had been married twice, and Grant had been previously married to actress Virginia Cherrill. And Hutton, the Woolworth heiress, once said that Grant was the husband I loved the most, and Grant famously said about Hutton, the trouble wasn't her, people just can't disassociate her from her money, and they act like an idiot around her. I find this interesting. As we depart this home, I'll show you how close it is to another famous neighbor. And this house is Gloria Swanson's, who played Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. And you may remember this home from the video I did about her homes in Palm Springs. So check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Let's swing over now to what is the home most associated with Cary Grant in Palm Springs. It's his beloved Las Palomas at 928 North Avenida, Palmas, again in the movie colony neighborhood. And it is still gracing his initials on the gates here, as you can see, the CG. This home was originally built in 1927 and was commissioned for Dr. Jacob John Coker. He was Palm Springs' very first pharmacist, and someone you may remember from the Albert Frey video tour that we did. He's the brother of A. Lawrence Coker, who was Frey's partner on several iconic local designs. Las Palomas translates as the doves in Spanish, and it spans 1.5 acres just west of Ruth Hardy Park. The focal point of the lush property is a 5,300 square foot, 6-bed, 6-bath Spanish Andalusian farmhouse designed by John Byers in 1930. And you can see this mailbox that is a perfect replica of the home itself. And it's incredible that it still survives. But yeah, look at that. I love that so much. After Grant bought the house in 1954, he'd actually intended to retire here, fresh off the success of several films like His Girl Friday. But Alfred Hitchcock was a frequent guest of Grant's. And he actually convinced Grant to come back to Hollywood and star in a couple of his own films, To Catch a Thief and North by Northwest. And it's a good thing he did because those films are iconic and help define his legacy. So he lived here with his wife, Betty Drake and Diane Cannon during the 20 years that he owned the home. He was also known to throw some lavish parties and also hosted Marines who were stationed at the nearby 29 Palms military base. And Grant really had a love for this home. It had a very special place in his heart. And he has been quoted as saying, "This is where I come to be at peace." He did later sell the house in 1972 to the famous bodybuilder Frank Zane. He actually defeated Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Mr. Universe contest, as I understand. And he turned it into a private health resort. Now we're heading to the home of someone Grant had the longest relationship with, his dear friend Randolph Scott. Now, there's been endless speculation, about both over the years, about the nature of their relationship. And, both men have denied publicly that there was any romantic element to their relationship. But at the same time, many friends of theirs have said that they did have a very non-public love affair that lasted for many years. And this home is just a couple of blocks from the Grant estate that we just saw. And here is a map view, since we can't see very much of it from the street since it's hidden. But it is also directly across the street from another really spectacular estate, the one that belonged to Darryl F. Zanuck, the famous film producer. And I'll actually be doing a video about his home and homes related to him here soon. But to show you Scott's house again here, we can see where it is in relation to Cary Grant's home. So we'll have a look here, and then we will just move along right over, heading east. And here is the Grant estate we saw with those beautiful initialed monogrammed gates. Grant and Scott lived together when their careers were just getting started, which was common, of course. A lot of actors do that to save money on rent. But even after they both became big stars, they continued to live together in various homes in Palm Springs and Santa Monica and Los Angeles. There were rumors and speculation even at the time when the gossip columnist Hedda Hopper once asked in a column of hers, "Whom does he think he's fooling?" Referring to Grant. It's also known that when Scott and Grant were living together, Scott did not move out when Grant got married to Virginia Cheryl. And of course, studios of the day and even today would often match leading men up with beautiful partners or wives to maintain the appearance of heterosexuality, which was something the audience expected back then. The fashion critic Blackwell, who happened to be a neighbor of mine when I lived in Los Angeles, also lived with both men for a few months, and he described them as deeply, madly in love. And the writer William Royce wrote in 1976 that he had bumped into Randolph Scott, and that triggered Grant to open up to him for several hours about his relationship with Scott. He quoted Grant as saying, "Have you ever heard of gravity collapse? Some people call it love at first sight. This was the first time that I'd felt it for anyone." And Grant was in his 70s by this time and recounted the pain of Scott's departure when he said, "Our souls did touch. What more could I ask?" Of course, Grant was married 5 times during his lifetime and was married at the time of his death to Barbara Harris. He passed in 1986. So whatever the true nature of their relationship, it's clear that Grant and Scott shared a unique and enduring friendship that left a lasting impact on both of their lives. And the last thing I'd like to mention is there was recently a 3-part series called Archie, the Man Who Became Cary Grant. It was on BritBox here in the US, and I haven't seen it, but if any of you did, let me know what you thought. I've been interested, and if you like it, I might check it out. So thanks again for joining me on this tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you're not subscribed already, please consider hitting that little circle on the bottom right, and you'll be the first to hear about new videos when they're posted. Thanks a lot. See you on the next one.